At some point, you stopped talking to your father normally. Every conversation started sounding like evidence. You hear it in your own voice immediately, talking too carefully, answering too fast, standing in the kitchen already preparing explanations before he even says anything. And that's the part people don't notice at first, not the disappointment, the surveillance. It's the feeling that every small movement suddenly means something. You start fixing your posture when he walks in. You stop leaving dishes out. You keep your bedroom door open longer. You become weirdly aware of how much space you take up around him. That kind of self-awareness exhausts people. Because you didn't just lose trust, you started feeling observed. There's a difference. When people lose trust in you, conversations get colder. When people start watching you, your body changes. You start learning the emotional weather of the house. Which footsteps sound irritated? Which version of silence means leave them alone? How loud to close cabinets at night? Some people get so used to adjusting themselves around tension, they stop noticing they're doing it. That's why shame gets inside people so deeply. It turns ordinary moments into inspections. The strange part is, most people around you think they're being subtle, but you notice everything. The pause before your father answers, the fake neutral tone, the way he says your name slower now, the way conversations end earlier than they used to. People think disappointment sounds loud. Usually it sounds restrained. After a while, you start helping them do it. You shrink yourself before they can. You explain yourself before they ask. You become easier to manage. Some people react by becoming hyper-disciplined, cleaning constantly, training harder, trying to earn warmth back through behavior. Other people quietly detach. They stay in their room longer, leave messages unopened, laugh less around the house. Not because they're lazy, because being perceived starts feeling exhausting. Both reactions usually come from the same realization. If I'm not the version of me they respected, then who exactly am I in this house now? Some people don't become insecure after failure. They become insecure after noticing how differently people look at them afterward. And that's why you asking, did my father say something rude? Matters so much. Because part of him already knows. The emotional distance reached him before the words did. People feel rejection physically first, before they admit it mentally. Their body already noticed. You see it in little things, checking someone's face mid-conversation, trying to read tone, replying okay too quickly, pretending not to care while replaying the interaction 3 hours later in bed. This is usually where people start losing themselves, not during the mistake, after it. Because now every interaction becomes identity-based, you're no longer trying to explain what happened. You're trying to prove what kind of person you are. That pressure changes people fast. You can see it when someone stops taking up normal space around people. Closing doors quieter, asking for less, waiting to speak, trying not to become the next problem in the room. That's not maturity. That's fear trying to stay presentable. After a while, some people stop asking themselves what feels natural, and start asking what causes the least tension. Every response gets filtered first. Was that respectful enough, calm enough, productive enough, safe enough? Some people become so emotionally managed, they forget what relaxation around other people even feels like. Parents accidentally make this worse all the time, especially achievement-focused parents. Because once the image cracks, every conversation quietly becomes about potential. Not who you are now, who you were supposed to become. That's why you keep running, because this stopped being about the love or respect a long time ago. Now it's about restoring identity. A lot of people do this without realizing it. They overwork after disappointing someone. They become emotionally available on command. They panic when emails or texts go unanswered. They push themselves past dignity trying to repair how they're perceived. What makes it worse? Sometimes people praise them for it. They call it maturity, discipline, drive, even though half the time it's just fear wearing a productive outfit. You can push yourself so hard trying to earn respect back that eventually you stop noticing how terrified you are of disappointing people. Some people eventually notice how exhausting it is to live like they're constantly being evaluated. So they stop over-explaining, they answer the question once, then they let the silence sit there without trying to rescue it. At first that feels almost wrong, like they're being disrespectful for not defending themselves harder. Over time, their body stops panicking so much around disappointment. Other people go a different direction. They keep the discipline, keep training, keep working hard. But privately, something changes. They stop tying their entire self-worth to whether someone looks impressed afterward. The work stays. The desperation slowly leaves. That shift is harder than people think. Because once your identity gets wrapped around approval, even small disapproval starts feeling physically threatening. A short reply, A disappointed face, a weird tone. Your whole nervous system reacts like survival is involved. It's why some people become emotionally careful everywhere. At work, in relationships, even around friends. They monitor their expressions, replay conversations while driving home, catch themselves apologizing before they even know what they did wrong. Most of this happens quietly. People around you just think you're disciplined, respectful, easygoing. They don't see how much energy it takes to constantly manage other people's perception of you. Eventually, that pressure changes the way you exist around people entirely. The careful tone, the over-explaining, the constant self-monitoring, the fear in your body every time someone sounds disappointed. That doesn't stay temporary. Eventually it stops feeling like acting. The careful version of you becomes automatic. And that's the real danger, not failure. Becoming someone who can only feel safe when they're being approved of. Because some people were never taught how to relax around authority, only how to avoid becoming a disappointment. Because some people never learned how to relax around love. They only learned how to perform correctly around it. Eventually, you stop asking whether people still trust you, and start asking who you had to become just to keep being accepted.